Buggy the Clown is not who you think he is. He's not some idiot who keeps stumbling into good situations, and he's not the ridiculous coward that you think he is. And in this video, I'm going to show you step by step why I believe Buggy might actually be the final villain of One Piece. Now, before I explain who Buggy is, consider subscribing. I have lots of opinions and personal stories that'll make you laugh, probably. If you learned something new, like the video. I did way too much research for you to not like the video. Please, just like the video. So before you run to the comments with your opinions about who Buggy is, let me humble you. You do not know who Buggy is. None of us do. His given name is Buggy the Star Clown. No family names or affiliations given. His whole identity is wrapped in his clown persona, which is partially cosmetic. What we do know is where he's been, even if we don't know the why. So let's start from there. He was once an apprentice for the Roger Pirates, a crew of mini pirates categorized as either leaders, members, apprentices, non-affiliated companions, and external associates. Buggy was a humble apprentice, one of only 4 at that position. We'll talk about them later. For now, all you need to know is that he began venturing with Roger at 9 years old and watched Roger's execution at around 15 years old. When Buggy watches Roger's execution, you see him crying his eyes out. He clearly has a deep admiration for his captain, no matter how far he tries to run from those ties. Now let's start at Orangetown. This is the second arc of One Piece, and the first time we get to see Buggy in action. He's the captain of the Buggy Pirates, a mostly useless crew, and a couple key things take place. 1, he explains his relationship with Shanks. 2, he ends up giving a map of the Grand Line to Nami. Well, she steals it, but you get the point. Now her method of stealing it changes from manga to anime, but the point remains the same. Buggy the Clown does not need a map to the Grand Line. Traveling with Roger from the ages of 9 to roughly 15 pretty much guarantees that he's traveled the seas well enough to make it to the Grand Line blindfolded. And even if he didn't, guess where Buggy was literally born? Yeah, no, that clears it up. The map is pretty much useless to him. He also has very little reason to explain to Luffy what his relationship with Shanks is at this point, or to dialogue at all. In fact, if Buggy really wanted to aimlessly terrorize the citizens of Orangetown, an already remote island that just happens to be near Luffy's starting location, then why not kill the opposition immediately? I believe Buggy's overarching mission in the series has been and will always be to watch over Luffy and guide his journey inconspicuously. Think about it. It makes sense that Buggy was informed by Shanks about a boy who took his straw hat, an item that Buggy would definitely recognize from both his captain and his former rival, because he ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi. We'll just call it that to avoid spoilers. Buggy saw the hat after terrorizing Orangetown, tested the ability that he pretended he knew nothing about, fought with very little effort, and literally watches Nami sneak off to steal his treasure. Our guardian angel Buggy delivers a map of the Grand Line to Luffy and his crew and gets blasted off, giving Luffy a sense of direction in his early journey. The next time they meet is at Loguetown, the place where Buggy will seriously test Luffy to see if he's the one Roger was looking forward to. Yes, I believe that Buggy understands the significance of Joy Boy, just like Shanks understands, perhaps to a lesser degree. Regardless, now we're in Loguetown and there's a few big players here: Smoker, Dragon, and our guardian angel Buggy. Buggy is likely aware of the characteristics of the promised Joy Boy, and wants to know if Luffy could be him. His plan? Let's see how he acts in the face of death. Just like Buggy's former captain, this would reveal Luffy's true character. We know that Buggy was there before Luffy, as was Dragon. If Buggy knew that Luffy's powerful dad was there to save him, then he no longer had to pull any punches like in the first arc. He could push it a little further. And since he's actually a powerful combatant, he doesn't have to worry about his own safety. How does he know who Dragon is? Well, I think he and Dragon were in cahoots in this arc. Let me explain. He sets up the execution just like Roger's, and boom, in his final moments we see that Luffy is joyful in the face of death, just like Roger. Another good sign that he might be who Roger and Shanks were looking forward to. And who could forget the lightning bolt that absolutely destroyed the execution platform? Kabaji, who is Buggy's underling, even comments, "Why are you still alive?" after Buggy is struck by the lightning and the ensuing flames. A great question for a normal or weaker human being. Buggy's response is simply that he refuses to die here. Like, what? That's not how this works. The real answer is he just ate a lightning bolt summoned by Dragon and didn't flinch. Then he gets caught in a sea stone net, which he explains the Marines use to capture Devil Fruit users. Of course he would know that, given the experience he has fighting Marines. But this is where the theory starts getting more interesting and believable. Dragon ends up saving Buggy with his green winds, which is what leads me to believe that they're in cahoots. Think about it. Whether you believe my theory or not, Dragon is one of the most powerful people in Loguetown at the time, if it isn't Buggy himself. He leads the Revolutionary Army, he uses his power to electrocute Buggy with pinpoint accuracy, to make it rain so the Mary couldn't be set ablaze, and to dispatch of the excessive Navy soldiers. Are you telling me that it's just an accident that this top-level threat just so happens to free the guy who just tried to kill his son? That's a load of garbo, and you know it. Buggy decides to use this opportunity to go to the Grand Line and hunt down Luffy. But that's weird. Didn't Nami steal his map to the Grand Line? How is he so confident he'll find his way back? That's kinda curious, huh? Could he have had 2 maps to the Grand Line? Sure. But believing that is even more far-fetched than believing in this theory. But there's still way more proof, so let's just continue. Next we see Buggy in the Jaya arc of the Sky Island Saga. It's a short glimpse, but the gist of it is Buggy is happy to hear about Luffy's new bounty of 100 million berries. He claims this is for his revenge, but that's cap. Ace comes aboard the ship asking about Luffy. Buggy pretends to not already know that Ace is Luffy's relative, though he may not have met him in person, just as he pretended not to know that Dragon was his dad. When Buggy's crew asks if they can kill Ace, who has literally fallen asleep at this point, Buggy tells them not to. It's explained that this is to avoid incurring Whitebeard's wrath, but that's only partially true. The truth is, he doesn't want to distract Luffy from his goals, and is still Luffy's guardian angel. In the Amazon Lily arc, we learn that Buggy was captured by Marines and brought to Impel Down when he accidentally wandered into Marine territory looking for Captain John's treasure. I'm pretty sure this is just a lie he made up, and I'll explain that in a bit. Either way, this would net him a spot on level 1 of Impel Down, a place that nobody wants to be. So why would he plan this? Simple. By this point, it's incredibly likely that Ace was already captured and sent to Impel Down. If Buggy knew this, then he knew that Luffy would be following shortly. And he does. When Luffy and Buggy meet again, initially he refuses to help, but Luffy's armband points to Captain John's treasure, so they strike a deal. Personally, I think this is where the lie comes in. You see, we know that the armband points to Captain John's treasure, that's true. Luffy found it where we found Captain John's zombie body. The issue is that we only have Buggy's word that he was looking for this treasure in the first place. Sure, this greedy and experienced pirate could have accidentally stumbled into Marine territory looking for treasure, but I think it makes more sense that this is just a convenient excuse that he can make so that he can help Luffy while still appearing to hate him. Now you might be wondering why any pirate would intentionally hand themselves over to the Marines, but I'd like to remind you that this has happened before, for only 2 reasons. 1, to die, like Roger and Kaido, and 2, because you know you won't die, like Silver's Rayleigh and, well, Kaido. Let's not forget that Buggy has fought alongside some of the most powerful pirates to ever roam the seas and walked away unscathed, before he ever had a devil fruit to rely on, like the Battle of Ed War against Shiki and his gigantic fleet. Buggy fought with no devil fruit. The Battle in Paradise, the first half of the Grand Line, where the Roger pirates fought battalions of Marines. Buggy fought with no devil fruit. The 4-day battle against Whitebeard, no devil fruit, no rest, and no significant injuries by the end of it, which could not be said for everyone who fought there. I don't care what you say, plot armor doesn't allow you to just get lucky in fights like these. Buggy is not a slouch, devil fruit or not. Anyway, back at Impel Down, shenanigans ensue and Buggy ends up releasing Bon Clay from his cell. Yes, you heard that right, the most beloved honorary Straw Hat was released by none other than Buggy D. Clown, the best guardian angel in One Piece. Now when Buggy splits off from Bon Clay and Luffy, he effortlessly sneaks back up to level 2, frees all the prisoners, gains their trust and loyalty, becoming their leader, and if you think all this lucky stuff is happening because of plot armor and happenstance, you might just be underestimating Buggy, because what happens next should be the most telling part of this theory. When all the released criminals are praising Buggy for his amazing plan, they offer to help Buggy mutiny against Straw Hat and make their escape without ever reaching Marineford. And if Buggy really hated Straw Hat like he claimed, wouldn't he just jump at the opportunity? I mean, who's gonna stop him? Apparently not, because he claims he wants to follow course and take down Whitebeard. You know, the guy he said he didn't want to anger by killing Ace just a few arcs ago? This arc reveals another major key in Buggy's secret strength. Buggy's devil fruit is the ultimate weapon, defensively at least. Unlike Logia types who can be hurt by hockey slashes, Buggy literally cannot be killed by them. Hawkeye Mihawk, the world's strongest swordsman, slashes at Luffy, and Buggy is used as a meat shield for the attack. He wasn't expecting the attack and didn't simply detach in time, his body is literally impervious to this kind of attack, hockey infused or not. With a power like this, Buggy could likely clap any swordsman in the show with enough careful planning and patience. That's worth something even if he is a weakling, which I don't believe he is. Also, he tanks his own enhanced explosive Muggy Ball to the face and it barely leaves a scratch. A bunch of sad things happen and Buggy finds an unconscious Luffy in his hands yet again. waiting to be killed if he hates him enough. And what does he do? He delivers Luffy to Law and even gives him back his straw hat at Shanks' request. Did it take some bribing? Yes. But I think that this was just to save face and appear consistent, since everyone around thinks he hates Straw Hat. Which begs the question, does he? What is his plan for Straw Hat if he doesn't hate him? My theory is that Buggy overheard Roger explain the importance of Joy Boy at some point. I mean, the guy has detachable ears, it wouldn't be hard to eavesdrop with his powers. Anyway, at some point I believe he heard conversations about Joy Boy and understands that whatever is hiding at Laugh Tale can only really be utilized by Joy Boy. Can you imagine if he just detached his eye or ear on Roger's voyage? He could have created a detailed map, for crying out loud, no poneglyphs necessary, all with his memory and just a pen and paper. It really wouldn't take that much for Buggy to use his OP Devil Fruit for something like this, but I digress. I think he's impartial to Luffy as a person. He protects Luffy because in a backwards way, protecting Luffy is like securing the One Piece, if Luffy really is the hidden key to Laugh Tale's treasure, which I think he is. Shanks even asked Buggy to join his crew after Roger's execution, which just goes to show how capable Shanks believes Buggy is. It makes sense for Buggy to say no if he feels like he has a better plan to secure the One Piece than Shanks, and he just might if he's overheard the right things. Now finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. What will Buggy do as one of the 7 warlords of this? Not much, surprisingly, not that much. He doesn't really do anything. He likely used the position in government to watch over Luffy from a distance, but honestly, not much else happened here. The last major thing Buggy does is create the Cross Guild, and to avoid spoilers, the only thing you need to know is that he looked both Crocodile and Mihawk in the face and straight up refused to do what they said, and declared he was going for the One Piece. Publicly. The clown has balls, and I don't just mean the muggy kind. Now before you click away from the video and say, nah, Buggy weak, just imagine for 1 second. What if he wasn't? How powerful would Buggy be if he was an end-of-show threat? I'll tell you. If Buggy at age 39 was only as experienced as Luffy, meaning an awakened Devil Fruit and capable Haki, he would destroy so many high-level threats in this verse it's not even funny. Imagine what his awakening could do if Buggy were a serious character. The power to split apart and control the world around him? That's insane. And this would make sense if you consider that Luffy and Buggy have always been counterparts when it comes to their Devil Fruit powers. Even from the second arc, Luffy can only be hurt by swords and sharp weapons. Blunt force trauma doesn't work and bullets just repel out of him. Buggy is the literal opposite, only being hurt by blunt force and things that aren't sharp. Luffy stretches, Buggy detaches. To avoid further spoilers, I'll just keep out what an awakened Luffy can do to the world, but Buggy's powers are never really far off, just slightly different. If both awakened at similar power levels, it might be a more compelling final fight than Luffy versus Blackbeard, because they're so similar. One last thing, I said that we'd bring up all 4 of the apprentices that were on Roger's ship, and besides Shanks and Buggy, we've got the cat and the dog from Wano. If this theory's correct, what would all 4 of these characters have in common? Well, a couple things. 1, every single one would be a capable fighter. They would all also have some sort of understanding of Joy Boy. No matter how small, they would have at least heard the name. And they would all have helped Luffy in some significant way as far as his character development is concerned. Seriously, can you even name one weakling that came out of the Roger Pirates? It just doesn't make sense for Buggy to be so different from everyone else, especially if he'd earned the respect of Roger and Shanks. But what do you think? Is this theory valid, or is this just another crazy fan-made conspiracy? Put your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. To see more of my anime thoughts and opinions, check out some other videos, there's plenty. Subscribe for more random thoughts that I have. And remember, Jesus loves you. Alright, later.